So let's have a look and say hello to everyone. So hello, Miranda. Hello, Bev. Got a Facebook user that says yes. Fantastic. Okay, folks, as always, any questions throughout this uh, session, please feel free to stick them into the comments. I will then go through them at some point. I'll keep an eye on them. If I can answer them live as we go, I will, or I'll pick them up at the end and answer them all for you. As always, I've got nowhere to rush off to, so keep asking your questions throughout the evening. And once the questions dry up, I will disappear. So let's get started, shall we? So tonight we are going to look at setting up some pricing. Now, this is probably one of the more complicated parts of Client Engager, purely because we all have our own perception of how we want to price, and we want to make sure we're pricing accurately. And then we've got to build our own confidence in our pricing as well. So what we've tried to do is build a calculator that enables you to price how you want. And we go from there basically. So what I'm going to try and do is some simple examples, some more complex examples, so you can see how you can build your own pricing. Now, you might build several services to meet a bookkeeping requirement, or you might just build one service. It's up to you. But yeah, basically ask questions as we go along, and I'll try and answer them with live demonstrations of what I'm doing. So let's have a look then. Let's go to our Client Engager. Okay, right. So here we are in our Client Engager. First thing to do is to make sure we've got the services that we want to offer. So some people, as I say, might have just one bookkeeping service. Others might have numerous services that add up to become bookkeeping as the service they offer. So, for example, you might have sales inputting, bank transactions, bank reconciling, handling foreign currencies, uh, purchasing processing, DEX processing, auto entry processing. You might have all these different services that make bookkeeping as a whole. You might decide you want to have limited company accounts and CT600 wrapped up in one service, and that's absolutely fine. Or you might want to have it spread apart into two services, or potentially even more. So I'm just going to go and try and give you some different examples of how this can all work. So first of all, let's go to our settings, and we'll go to our services. So at this moment in time, in services, we've got limited company accounts separate, we've got CT600 separate, we've got self-assessment accounts, SA100s, etc. And we've got bookkeeping is somewhere. Here we go. So we've got bookkeeping. And then we've added a few bits here and there, like ignore the test one, processing sales invoices. Okay. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to start breaking this down. I'm going to start adding some new services that I want to offer to my clients, and I want to price using varying factors. So our first one is going to be to add clearing DEX or auto entry. So basically, the client is putting all their information into DEX or auto entry or HubDoc, whatever you're using. They need you to go in and process all of that. So we need to charge for that. So I'm going to first of all create a custom service. I'm then going to say it's let's call this bookkeeping dash. We're going to call it DEX because I use DEX in my firm, so it's just easier for me to refer back to that. So I've named my service, and I'm going to say it's a monthly default fee. So that means we're going to charge for this monthly. And I'm decided I'm going to charge 75p for every transaction. And the reason that base rate's important is because that's going to be the start of our formula. So I'm not going to go into too much detail here about the rest of the service settings and stuff. I'm just going to call this phase one so I can actually save it. I'm going to press save. What I now need to do is create the custom fields to collect the information I need to be able to calculate the fee for this service. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my custom form fields, and I'm going to go and I'm going to create a new section just for the sake of completeness here. I'm going to call it a new section. I'm going to call bookkeeping. I always like to put things in Client Engager like headings. So if it's a pricing factor, I know exactly where this custom field's going to go. If it's a bookkeeping service, even if I've got 3 or 4 services that are related to bookkeeping, if I've got it all in bookkeeping, I can organize it in alphabetical order and stuff like that. So it makes life a lot easier. Like automatic emails, whenever I build templates, I always put AE at the start, dash, and then the name of the email. It just makes it easier to track and find things for me when I'm using it. So we've created a heading. And in creating that, let me just go back to that. I could have selected any where this goes. I want this to go in pricing because we're looking at pricing today. Then I'm going to add a field. I'm going to say number of transactions indexed. Just to save confusion, average number. Okay, so I could put then in here, what is the average number of okay. It would help if I could spell or type, whichever one came first. So I'm going to ask what the average number of transactions are indexed. If I wanted to be precise and say this is the number of transactions indexed instead of average, what I'd probably do is I'd say this is a whole number, and then we'd save it. And what would happen is you'd go into your questionnaire that you're going to fill out on your pricing and service page, and you just put in a whole number here. But I want an average, so I'm going to put this as brackets basically. So I'm going to have a drop down choice, and I'm going to add to my drop down choice here. So I'm going to go with 1 to 10. I'm going to say, right, if there's between 1 and 10 transactions, I want to times my base rate, which is my 75p that I set earlier. I want to times that by 10. And then I'm going to have 11 to 20, and I'm going to charge 20. Multiply that by 20, 21 to 30. Do one more. No, 40, and we're going to times that by 40. Now, you can set a default value here if you want to, but we're not going to in this case. Right. I'm also just going to rename this. Uh, okay. So let's now go back to our services. And he says, it's good how I know how everything is so easily, isn't it? Anyone think I use this on a daily basis? Okay, so if I go right down to the bottom, because that's where my bookkeeping processing text is, I'm going to edit this. Now I've said in the wizard that for every transaction I want to charge 75p. That's my base rate. I'm then going to add that I want it to multiply that 75p by the average number of transactions indexed. So I'm going to save that. Let's go and have a look quickly at what that looks like in a client. So we'd then go through to our service and pricing. If I go right down to the bottom, I've got my bookkeeping processing by Dext. So we've already said this is a monthly default fee period. And I'm going to say, right, I'm going to have up to 20 transactions. And as you can see, it's moved that to £15, that suggested fee. So I'm going to copy that into here. And if you ever want to see how it's working something out, you can see the base rate times by the multiplying factor here, which we set in the settings. So let's go back to the settings and let's come up with another way we're going to do this. So I now want to say, right, yes, I'm going to process all those transactions on a monthly basis for for that fee that we've agreed. But actually, I want to give them the option to charge a premium. Would you like me to go in there and do it on a weekly or a bi-weekly period rather than just a monthly? So what we can do is we go to our custom forms again, right down to the bottom, and we're going to add a new one. We're going to call this one frequency of DEX processing. And again, I'm going to make this a drop down box choice because that makes sense in this case. I'm going to go, right, the monthly, I'm just going to times the result by 1. Fortnightly, I'm going to try times it by 1.5. You want me to do it weekly? Fine, but I'm going to charge you twice the price. You want me to do it daily? Well, that's a real premium, so I'm going to charge you 3 times the price. I'm going to press save. So now I've added a new field. I'm now going to go back to my uh, services at the top, and I am going to add that to my equation. So I'm now going to go, right. So I've already times 75p per transaction by the upper number of the amount of transactions I'm going to give them as an allowance. I want to times that by the frequency. So we'll go to frequency of DEX processing. I'll save that. If I go back to my client, we go straight down to the bottom, turn this back on. I'm going to say we're going to 20 again, and we're going to do it monthly. So that's £15, which is what we had originally. But if I want to go to fortnightly, it's 23, weekly, it's 30, daily, it's 45. So I'm going to save that this time, save me having to redo it all next time. I'm going to go back to the settings because I've decided what I want to do is I want to charge a premium for someone that's got a high AML risk. The reason we're going to charge a premium is because actually, if someone's a high AML risk, we've got to be more diligent on the transactions that are going through and make sure we're quite happy with those. Maybe you don't want to turn automation on indexed or auto entry as well because you want to visually check everything. So that's fine. So what we will do is we will go and we will into our custom form fields and we will key pricing factors. I'm going to stick it in here because this field might relate to all sorts of different fields. I could then apply the AML theory to any service I offer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to include it in the key pricing factors. I'm going to call it AML risk. Now I'm going to make this a drop down again. And I'm going to add low, normal, and high. So I want to charge 10% more because someone is a high risk. So I'm going to multiply it by 1.1. If they're normal, I'm going to leave it at 1. If they're a low risk, it means I don't have to pay as much attention. Maybe I can turn quite a bit of automation on. So actually, I'm going to give them a 10% discount because they're a low risk. So I'm going to save that. I'm then going to go into my services and I'm going to go to my wizard. I'm then going to say I want you to multiply it by my pricing factors, AML risk level, and we'll save that. Now go back to our client. Go back to our services, scroll down. And I need to refresh. What are the chances Peter's doing an update for us to fix a bug just while I'm doing this? Right, scroll down. It's not saved it. Why has it not saved it? Services. AML risk. Save. Hmm. Why is that not working? I might have to look at this bug and come back to this point. Oh, it's up here. That's why I'm not looking in the right place. Okay, so we've already got the fact that we've got 20, we're going to do it daily. What we're going to say now is it's normal, which puts it back at 45. Or I can go low, and that reduces the price because we said we're going to give you a discount for being a low AML risk. Or if they're high, we can put it up by 10%, which is £5. So that puts it up to 50. So that's how to do a fairly simple yet complex pricing, where in that example, I've taken a base rate for number of transaction fee. I've times it by a factor for the amount of services that I'm going to offer, the frequency and the volume of transactions I'm going to have to deal with. I've also put in a factor for the AML risk. Another type of question we get often is how we could do it for employees. So in my firm, we do brackets again for employees. So it's 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 10, 11 to 15 type of number of employees. But not everyone wants to do that. So that's fine. So what we can do is we can create a payroll. In fact, let's just re-edit the payroll that's already here. So we've got our payroll. And we've got number of employees. So we've already said, all right, we're going to charge £2.50 a payslip. We're going to multiply that by the number of employees. We're going to multiply that by the payroll frequency. I'm going to get rid of the trade, and we're going to get rid of that. But let's have a look at how we've calculated the number of employees. Custom fields, bookkeeping, VAT, payroll. Number of employees. So let's have a look at this. Yeah, so on this one, what we've done is we've made it a drop-down choice again. So it's bracketed like I've got in my firm. But actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to add a new one. Number of employees. And I'm going to say this is a whole number. And I'm going to save that. Then I'm going to go to my settings, my services, and I'm going to update the formula I'm using. Formula for payroll. Right, and I'm going to add an operation, and I'm going to go back down to my payroll. And I'm going to use number of employees, but I'm going to move that up there. So what I'm saying here is it's £2.50 a payslip times by the number of employees, which is going to be a whole number this time instead of brackets. Then it's going to be, oh, no, we've got that one already. Then it's going to be times by the frequency of payroll. So I'm going to save that. I'll go to my clients, go to the trusty client engager client. If we go down to payroll. So first question, how frequently are we going to do payroll? We're going to do it monthly. Get rid of the annually input price. I'm going to say 1. Now, if we remember correctly, it's £2.50 a payslip. So this should come out as £2.50, and it's not. So it's come out £3. Why is that? I don't know why that is, because that shouldn't be happening like that. So it's £2.50 times by 1 times by 1. Ideal. Weekly, fortnightly, monthly, quarterly. Interesting. Doesn't seem to be able to do maths. Okay, so I need to find out what's going on there. But basically, instead of just having a drop down, you could have a number box here. So that's how you can create payroll, basically, or any service for that matter, and how you can add and change your services. Now, Bev, yes, it is rounding up. Good point. Yeah. So if I go up here, yeah, it's rounded up. That's why the system likes whole pounds. Um, so that's how you can do different pricing factors. Now, if you want to keep it really simple and you don't want any pricing factors here at all, you can just go into settings, and I'm going to use, let's find a service. So maybe I just charge a fixed price a month for self assessments. Okay. I'm going to say, let me just get rid of this because we're in the demo account. There's a lot of test data. So I'm going to say I charge £10 a month, full stop, for self assessments. That's all I do. I don't need to add anything. I don't need to multiply it by anything. I just charge £10 a month. If I press save, and then I can go to my clients. We'll go to Andy this time, go to service and planning. And I don't, all I get here is I can turn it off, I can turn it on. I don't get any questions or anything. It's just £10. If I want that service on, it's £10. Perhaps I want to now, actually, this person's only going to pay me annually for this. So if I press annually, it then suggests the fee should be 120 because it's done the maths for me. So it's done the base rate. And because it knows I'm charging a different frequency to monthly, which is the default, it's automatically calculating that for me. So yeah, so you can have a nice fat fixed rate as well if that's what you're looking for. Is there any questions on how to use pricing? Any examples where you want to try and achieve something, you're not sure how to achieve it? If you want to stick it into the comments, I will try and explain how I would do it. Failing that, any questions on anything whatsoever in Client Engager, more than happy to answer them. Next week, I will be doing a session on Zama technology and the link we're building to have individuals and contacts. So I'm really looking forward to showing you all how that's going to work. It's taken quite a lot of working due to the unique way that Zama handles individuals and contacts and duplicating information in effect. But we've finally got a solution that we're ready to roll out pretty much at the end of next week, we're hoping. Okay, so Facebook users asked, the fee so far multiplying by a base fee. Can I do that but add another price, e.g., if they have bookkeeping plus the cost of payroll feed, a PayPal feed? Yes. So what you can do is a few options here. So I have a software. Oh, I'm not on the right page. So give me a second. I go to services, for example. I have a software service in my firm, and I'll get rid of all of this. And what I do is I just say it's a pound for software, and I'm going to multiply that by whatever charge rate I have for QuickBooks. No, no, I'm not. I'm going to, yeah. So, or I can add, do it for zero, whatever software I have. But if what you would like to do is for PayPal is on bookkeeping to add a fixed fee, then let's show you how to do that. So I'd go to custom form fields, go into my bookkeeping pricing factors. So let's go with Dext as an example, actually. Let's do this Dext again because there is a charge for Dext. Like as a software, you if your client went to directly to Dext, they would pay for the software. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be charging for that at the same rate. Now, you might decide to have a couple of options here, for example. So I'm going to go with drop down choice again. I'm going to say it's included. I'm going to say zero because I'm including it into the price as a bit of a deal, or chargeable. I might say, let's have a look at what Dex is pricing at actually at the moment. Love cookies. Right. Let's go to Dex Prepare. Small businesses. So what they're saying is up to 5 users is £22 a month, up to 20 users is 44, up to 30 is 65. So let's replicate that in our pricing. I'm going to call it up to 5 users. And that was 2. Up to 20 is 44. I'll just do those ones for example for now. I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to go to my services. I'll scroll down to my bookkeeping dex processing one. So at the moment, we've got all our multiplying factors. But what I can then do is go, I want to add field value, and I want it to be the answer for dex software. I'm going to save that. So let's go over to our client, back into engage a client, services and pricing, and we'll go down to our processing of dex. So we've said there are high AML. Well, I'm going to make it normal just to make the maths a bit simpler. 11 to 20, we're going to do it on a monthly basis. So that's £15 a month. And the dex software, we can either include it, and that has no impact on the price because we've got a 0 here. Or I'm going to say actually it's up to 5 clients. So what it's done is 0.75, so 75p a transaction times by 20 gets you 15, times that by 1, times that by 1, so you're still on 15. Then I'm going to add £22 for the software, and that brings me up to 37. If I went up to 20 users, it'll give me the 44 price, and I can go that way. So yeah, you can take your base rate, you do your multiplications, and then add. In the wizard, it's linear maths. So it's literally A plus B equals C, times that by D, divide that by E. So it's very much whatever the answer was to the last sum, take that and do the following. If you want to get into a lot more complexity, we have the ability to do that. So I won't go into too much depth on this, but what I will do is I'll just show you where you can go and do this. If you like your brackets, open brackets, close brackets, and all of that good fun stuff from maths, GCSE that we all thought we'd never use in our lives, alongside trigonometry. So if I go down to my bookkeeping processing here, so this is the wizard bit. This is where we've gone at 75p times by this, then this, then this, then this. That has then populated that into here. But what I could do is I could make this really complex if I wanted to. So I can go, I want you to go 0.75 times that by the average number of transactions. Insert. Then I'm going to have a round bracket to close that out. Then I'm going to times that whole sum by whatever it is I want to do. So basically, you can do your brackets, maths within a bracket, close brackets, and then you can times or do whatever you want to do to that answer. Or you could go, right, I'm going to do that, but then I'm going to times it by another complex maths question. Let's just go 5 times 5 plus 6, those brackets. So, or I could put another placeholder in here. So I could put trade, for example. So you can now go, right, I'm going to take 75p, times it by the average number of transactions, and then I'm going to times that by this sum of 5 plus the multiplying factor here, whatever factor you put in there. So that's how you can make you can make your maths even more powerful as you would in an Excel spreadsheet. But if you're quite happy just having it in the wizard, then it's 0.75, add an operation, multiply, subtract, add, divide. So we're going to multiply. We can either put a number here or a field. 9 out of 10 times I always use fields. I'm going to go average transaction. Then I want to multiply it again by my frequency. Then I want to add the price for Dext. I'll save that. So hopefully that answers your question of whether you can add stuff for software fees. Um, Another way you can do it is if I go to my custom field. So I've got that software service, which doesn't reoccur or anything. It's got no dates on it. It's just there, and it then goes in as a server as a ultimate one price for software. So if I go into my custom fields, if I go pricing factors for software, what I've done here is I've added QuickBooks, Zero, Free Agent, Hammock, Dex, SIF Analytics, and I've listed the QuickBooks packages available, and I've put a not applicable so that if someone wants Zero instead of QuickBooks, they can have zero, they can select not applicable for Zero for QuickBooks, and they would go to Zero and pick whichever package they want for them. The important part to remember is softwares like to put their prices up. It might only be about by £1 a month, but they do it. So whenever you notice an email saying our software prices are going up, make sure you come in and update the prices on any fields that you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to suddenly start paying towards someone's software fees, which you don't want to be doing. Any other questions? Let's have a look at this one. I'd want it as part of the bookkeeping fee as it would be based on the number of PayPal transactions rather than it being a software fee. I charge less per transaction for feed than normal transactions. Fantastic. So yeah, so what you can do, you can build out, as I say, you can add a fee like we've done down at the bottom. You could build it in anywhere basically, but yeah, you've got multiplier, subtract, add, and divide. So for example, somewhere on here, so like I've got Google review and Trustpilot review, for example, and I've put in, so if I put in yes, I'm going to put in -10. No is, I'll make no 1 because it's going to no, I can make it 0. So that was a Trustpilot one, wasn't it? Oh no. Right. So what I've done is I've said, has this customer left me a Google review or Trustpilot review? Obviously, you're not going to do this potentially on the first service, unless they make a commitment to you where and they say, yeah, in return for a discount, I will leave you a Google review or a Trustpilot review. Normally, I'd ask this question on my review of pricing. So what I'd then do is I'd go into my services and I might offer someone a discount on their limited company accounts if they've left me a price. So I'm going to get rid of that one. So I've said subtract. I'm going to say add because I put a minus in front of the 10. So I'm going to say add Google review fee. I'm then going to go to my clients. I'm going to go to Engager, limited company accounts, Google review, yes. And that's dropped it by £10 because what I've said is the base rate's £40 a month. We're going to times it by 0.7 due to the annual revenue, which, if I put to 5, it's 1.65. The client type is a limited company, so it gets times by 1. Records location, Sage, so it gets times by 2. QuickBooks, it gets times by 1. I just don't like Sage for my firm, so that's why it gets doubled. And then I'm saying, well, because you've left me a Google review, I'm going to give you £10 a month off your monthly subscription for annual accounts. So yeah, so that's how that works. Right, Bev, what does the show field in client summary mean, please? Right. So in that one, if I go to settings, custom fields, if I edit this one, for example. So when it says show field in client summary, that basically means if I turn that on, I'll come back to the pricing factor one as well in a moment because it's a really good question, Bev. So if I go to my clients, if I go to Andy Wainwright, I'm in my client summary. So this is the client summary. If I've said to show it in the client summary, it means it's going to show up in here. And there we go, marketing source, Google. So I've said these areas should show up in the client summary so I've got instant overview of them without having to dig around for the information. And then if I've put something as to show in pricing factors, so I go to my custom fields again. If I say, so I want to include this annual revenue part in the pricing factor. The reason that's really important is if I go to my letters of engagement, that one, if I generate this, I don't know if I've got pricing factors in here. I haven't. So what I like to do, so we've got the scope of services here, but what I like to do is I like to go in and I like to edit this. So I've got scope of services. We've listed the below the work that we're going to do. I'll put a line in and say we have priced the above services. Following following factors. Then I'm going to put in my square bracket. See if I remember this placeholder. Oh, that's the wrong bracket, Johan. I'm going to generate that. So I've now got the wrong thing. Right, give me 2 seconds. What is that pricing factor called? Oh, I've not put the capitals in it. That's what I've not done. So I need to update the placeholder with the right information. That would help. Scope of services. Blah, 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 blah. Call it factors, call it information if you like. Generate that. See if this has worked this time. Yeah. So by anything I've classed as I want to see as a pricing factor, when I then put the pricing factor placeholder in my letter of engagement or my email template or any document template, it will then pull in the pricing factors that are relevant to the services that you've turned on. So I've said this is based on the fact that you're in a financial trade, that your annual revenue is up to 60,000, that you're using QuickBooks, your record quality is average or better, your payroll frequency is going to be monthly, and we're going to turn around your accounts in 3 months. Because the moment the client's revenue goes over 60, you could go, well, look, your letter of engagement says it's up to 60,000. You're now at like 70. We've given you a bit of leeway, but we now need to chat about your price. The moment they say, oh, I want to do payroll weekly, they go, well, we priced it for monthly, so we need to change that. And it gives you a bit of a reference where you can go back and say, look, you signed your letter of engagement agreeing on these principles and these factors. That's now changed. We now need to review this. So hopefully that helps as well. Brilliant. That looks like that's helped, Bev. No problems. Okay, next question. Do you give the monthly reduction for a Google review indefinitely, or would you put something on your letter of engagement to say it was for the first year? It's entirely up to you. It's your business. You run it how you like. We tend to put it in we don't normally do it on the first year because it means we're asking someone to commit to doing as a review before they've experienced our service. Now, we are very good, and within a week or two, we normally get a client offering to do a review because we've onboarded them very quickly and easily, and they're really impressed with our service. However, I normally ask them, would they leave us a review at the end of the first year? So we've got a and in return, I'm going to give you a discount on your next year. So I normally put it in my T's and C's that it's the discounts available for the first for that 1 year that we've done it for. But you could go and say, well, technically that review stays on Google or Trustpilot, and it's evergreen, as we call it in the marketing trade. So an evergreen thing is something that's always there, it's always relevant, and it's reusable. So I could take that review, I could put it on my website, I could put it on social media, I could put it on advertising. So I might turn around and say, look, you've done us a review. That's lovely. Thank you. I'm going to give you this discount forever. Or you could turn around and say, that's great. I'm going to give you a discount of £10 a month off your bill for the next year as a thank you. It's entirely up to you how you do that. But yeah, if you're going to just do it for a small period of time, I would say, well, put in the terms and conditions for how long you're going to do it, just so you can refer back to them and the client understands that. Um, but then there's no harm if they say, "Oh, I don't get my discount this year because I've not done your Google review." Well, you haven't, but why don't you do me a Facebook review or a LinkedIn testimonial or a Trustpilot review or a QuickBooks directory review? Give them another option to re-secure that discount the following year. Would be my suggestion. Has anyone else got any other questions? Again, it doesn't have to be about pricing. It can be about any part of this you want. As I say, next week, I'm really looking forward to showing you the Zama integration. We've now got that ready. And once that goes live at the end of next week, we will be working on forms. So the theory is you're going to be able to log in, create a form, uh, capturing whatever information you want. Again, like most of the tools in Client Engager, it's only ever limited by your own imagination. We will be sharing some templates, some ideas, so that you can then hopefully spark some inspiration for you. And the theory is that you're going to be able to add that form into the client portal. The client's going to be able to log in after getting an email to say there's a form available for you to fill out. Client logs in, fills out that form, you get the information back. If it's a form collecting details like phone numbers and stuff like that, that information would automatically transcribe into Client Engager records for that client. And if you've already got some of the information but not all of it, and you want the client to see that what information you've got, maybe review it to make sure it's right. So maybe an annual update of contact information. They'll be able to see what information's linked and override it and save it. So it should make life a lot quicker. Quick question coming in from Facebook user. Simple question. How do you invite new staff members to log into Client Engager? Absolutely fantastic question, Matthew. So this is not as slick as it should be at the moment, but let me show you how we do it. So we go to settings, we go to system users, we add a user, test, test. We create a password for them, put their email address in. Now, at this point, I fully understand and accept that you would expect that to then generate an email with a link and stuff like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't at the moment. We are going to build that in amongst all 101 other ideas that we've got at the moment. Put them in the accounts department. We'll call them a user. We can change their permissions if we want to on here. Remember, the permissions list is always being updated with ideas and stuff people have got. And then I can save the user. Password must contain a number 1. So I'm going to save that user. What I would then do at the moment, this is what you have to do, is I would create an email to that user. I would copy this domain here and just put in the email, hi, Bob, can you please, here's your login details. Here's the link. Save this in your bookmarks. Your email, your login email is your email address. Your temporary password is password1. And when they log in, they'll be able to come in and change their password to a more secure password. You can also, which a lot of people don't do actually, but you can actually ask them to turn on two-factor authentication. So click to enable. So basically, you can mandate that all of your employees should use um, two-factor authentication, and that involves having like the Google Authenticator app or the Microsoft Authenticator app or whatever authenticator app you want them to have on a phone or a tablet. They can set up a two-factor authentication by scanning the QR code in the app. And basically, every time they log in, they have to enter a six-figure number that is in the app, and it refreshes every 30 seconds, exactly like you do with Zero at the moment. So you can mandate that if you wanted to. So they'd come into the settings, they'd set it up, and then they'll be asked for it every time they log in. Your clients also have the choice of setting up a two-factor authentication on their client portal, which again, not many people use, but it's there if people want to use it, just to improve security even further. Um, but I'm seeing lots and lots of exciting emails at the moment internally that may indicate the client portal app that is in progress of being built could be with us sooner rather than later. So our target date was September, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see it in July, end of July, start of August. But if we don't, it will definitely be there for September. We're making really good progress on that. Um, and that is going to basically save your clients having to log in to the portal on the website. They can just log in once on their app, then use Face ID or thumbprint or whatever device they're using, use what their security is, and that will take them into their portal, and they can do everything they can do on a web portal will be available in the app. So that will be more convenient for them, hopefully. So yeah, so that's how you can add someone at the moment. We are going to set it up so you'll send out an email with the details in future automatically. But at the moment, you just need to add them all on here and then give them the domain from up here, the email address that they've been set up with, and the password you've set them up with, so they can come in and change that password. Miranda, do all users see all clients, or can you allocate clients to each user? So all users see all clients at the moment. We are looking at how we can build that out so that team member one will only see clients relevant to team member one, and subcontractor might only see the clients you want them to see, so they can't see your whole client base for a bit of security, GDPR, competitiveness. Um, from that point of view. So that is something we're looking at and we're hoping to have out this autumn. Um, we just need to work out how it's going to work because it's a bit fiddly. But yeah, at the moment, every user can see every client, um, regardless of whether that you want them to or not. Unfortunately, but yeah. Any other questions? And while we wait for them to come in, so Zama coming out next week. Forms, it's going to be like Google Forms. You're going to be able to build your own forms for whatever you want, capture whatever information you want. You can link boxes and fields into boxes and fields of data you store, or you don't have to. It's entirely up to you. So that comes out in the next few weeks as well. And then we're tackling the Zero integration, which and the HMRC integration for 648 authorization. Both of those are dependent on Zero and HMRC authorizing and certifying those integrations. So we'll have them built quite quickly, but we're going to be waiting on them and at their mercy, unfortunately. So when we can release them. And yeah, at some point in the next 2 or 3 months, we're going to see that client portal app come out, which clients are going to be able to log into after they've downloaded it. They're going to be able to e-sign. They're going to be able to upload, download. They're going to be able to fill out their forms when you upload a new document, as well as them getting an email to say we've uploaded a document or we've sent something for you to be e-signed. They'll get a notification in their app saying you've got something to sign. So hopefully you'll get a better response rate from them for that. And that brings us up to kind of September, and that poll is closing in the next couple of weeks for what we're going to build from September through to November. So there's 25 things on there. I think we'll probably get 5 or 10. Peter's going to shoot me when he hears me say that. Of those top things sorted, no problems. We'll see what else we can sneak in. And then we'll put out another poll with all the ideas we haven't done yet from this poll and everything else for everyone to vote and prioritize going forward. So Just because an idea doesn't get voted on very highly or built in this round of voting doesn't mean we then remove it and delete it. We just keep it there and it keeps carrying on. Brilliant. A couple more questions just coming in. So within the client engager folders, what document types can you save in the folders? E.g., can you save the Word or Excel as well as PDFs, etc.? Absolutely great question. So in our folders, you can save any file type you want. It's just what you can preview that is limited. So if I go to Client Engager and I go to my folders, I go in here. So as you can see, I've got an image here. I can preview that. It's just a screenshot. So I can preview my images and I can preview my PDFs. Absolutely no problem. So I don't need to download those to see them. But you can also save. So look, I haven't got any examples, have I? So you can also save Word and Excel, but to view them and see what's on those documents, you do need to download them and open them on on your device, purely because web browsers just don't like Word and Excel documents being opened. So it's a limitation of web browsers rather than us, if that makes sense. But yeah, PDF. So this is a set of accounts. You can see all of that, preview it, so you don't have to download it and open it. I don't know about you guys, but my download box is phenomenally large, and the amount of times the same thing's in there more than once is ridiculous. I have to empty it once every month or so just to keep on top of it all. But yeah, so you can preview stuff instead of having to download it, and that's images and PDFs. But Excel and Word documents, you do need to download those to open them up and see what's in them. And your clients can upload images, PDFs, Excel, Word, absolutely no problems at all. So hopefully that helps. Next question, is there currently somewhere we can store our own company details, AML policies, for example? There is not at the moment, but this is something we've already had internal discussions about. Something I'm really keen to do. I don't think we're going to have time to do it this year, but we're going to try and get it in early next year. Is I believe practice management is more than just our clients. I believe running a practice is about running your staff, your team, and your business. So, what I want to achieve is I want to have the ability to have a similar to how we have our client records and we go into our clients and we see all the reference information like the files and stuff. I want to have the same principle for every team member. So I can go in and see their certifications. I can go in and see their contact details. I can go in and log reviews and one-to-ones and appraisals, whatever terminology you want to use. I can go in and see their contract of employment. I can go and see the policies as a general company. So that's my vision for it. And there's nothing in that vision that's not achievable. But at this moment in time, there's nowhere where you can store your own company documents unless you add yourself as a company, as a client. So you could add, so this is the Client Engager demo account. You could add yourself as a client, as it were, in Engager, and you could store stuff in the folders. Absolutely fine. It's just not as slick as I'd perhaps like it if it was my firm. We use Notion as our Wikipedia. So I've got Notion. In fact, let me show you my Notion quickly. So this is our Notion page that every team member's got access to. And you can always go in and see our vision, our cause, the team directory, our brands, targets for the year, important things like what is ROE and how we work, accountability ladder, contact details, like information, how you get into each office, alarm codes, stuff like that, because Notion's available on mobile phones. Meeting, who, how, when, we have a set rules of how we do our meetings. So this is like our Wikipedia, as it were, for our internal stuff. So what I'd love is to try and build as much of that into Client Engager under one roof. We won't get there overnight with that. It is a huge commitment to do it, but I'd certainly like to be able to have internal folders and to have folders and a staff record for every team member. So it might be that here certain people have certain permissions that allow them to go into each team member and see their files, their dates of birth, everything we need to see in one place. So that's my vision, because I think all of that encompasses practice management, and no one else seems to be doing that. No other practice management tool looks outside of the clients, and I think that's only a percentage of the role of practice management as a practice manager. So yeah, we are working towards that now. Uh, Miranda, thanks. I've added a subcontractor as a contact for the moment and added them to the clients that I want them to work on. Miranda, that's a genius idea. So, what Miranda's done here is she's added her subcontractor as a contact to client engager. Um, so we can do. Let me show you how Miranda's worked this out. Sorry, Miranda, but everyone's going to be copying this now. This is genius. So I'm going to go. I'm going to add contact only, sub. So we've added this person, and then what Miranda's done is she's linked this person to any clients in Client Engager that she wants them to look after and to see things for. And they will see that through their client portal. Which is, I think that's what Miranda's done by the sounds of it. Which means that subcontractor can only see the folders relevant to the clients that have been assigned to them. So yeah, genius idea. Right. And Miranda's also got her practice as a client, so she can do all the file storing and stuff, which is great. Facebook user. Oh, that's exciting. Looking forward to that. Yeah. You know what? We've got so many ideas and stuff that it's just the hardest part is being impatient and waiting for them to have time to do it all. If we could get another 20 Peters that are as quick at developing as Peter is, we would be laughing. And we'd have it all done by the end of next week, I'd imagine. But yeah, the ideas are constantly flowing, and we jokingly said internally a couple of months ago, "Oh, what happens when we run out of ideas?" It's like, well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But you know what? We've got nowhere close to running out of ideas, and the community in here keeps giving us more ideas, which is fantastic. So yeah, right. Well, it is 29 minutes past 8. Look at that for timing. That's an hour. I hope this session's been useful and insightful, and you've seen how you can maybe do some pricing calculations, and you can make it simple or complex. Thank you for all the questions. And yeah, as always, keep tagging me into any questions you've got on the Facebook group. More than happy to jump in and answer them. I always come in as soon as I can to get them answered. And I will normally at this point say I'll see you next week at 7:30 on Wednesday. But don't forget, on Friday night at 7:30, because I've got nothing better to do on my Friday nights than spend it with you wonderful people. I'm going to be coming to you on here on Friday night and showing you how I use ChatGPT and AI to help with email templates, forms, all sorts of stuff. Some bits alongside Client Engager, some bits not. But I'm looking forward to showing you all of that and hopefully inspiring you all a bit to use AI going forwards. So that's Friday night at 7:30. Again, it will be recorded and saved in the group chat, so that's not a problem. And then next week we will be back at 7:30 on Wednesday to look at the Zama integration that is being upgraded as we speak. So thank you very much for everyone that's attended and asked questions. This session is always a lot easier when people are asking questions. And as long as people are asking questions, I know it's of worth and value to you. So that's the important part. So thank you, Miranda, for coming in today, and Bev and Facebook users whose names haven't come through. But yeah, fantastic session. And I look forward to answering questions in the group and to demonstrating Chat GPT and AI next week. I will see you again soon.